Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Okay. Well, it seems like a lot of history is repeating itself because I know there were situations in our past with reading, comprehension, and education and everything. But this past week, since the election, I keep hearing how uneducated Generation Z is. And I am not surprised. It's like I taught K through 8. Well, I subbed K through 12, but I taught K through 8 for about 6 years at one school, 4 years, but then yeah. And then I taught in the college classroom for 6 years. Technically I'm still there, but only when they need me. Yeah, I'm an adjunct, but at the same time I'm at the point where these I've said this in another video, and I know some people say, oh, you're being harsh. No, a lot of these students are lazy. They are. A lot of these students don't want to sit down and use their brain. They literally just want to fill in the blank. They just want to know, which vocab words do I have to remember? They don't want to have to think. They don't. They might want to think about the party they're going to go to that weekend, or the whichever dating app and who they're going to swipe right and left on, and or who they're going to mistreat or hurt or whatever. But they don't want to think. They don't want to sit down and talk about and have a full-blown conversation breaking down real information. They'll go on social media and listen to the red pill and like the misinformation and things that when you go and look at like the articles and the edus, the .govs, and they contradict everything they watched or saw. So then they accuse that of being fake news. Kind of like, oh, who is Trump choosing for our health? Someone who doesn't believe in doctors. And out of all people, I had a horrible life situation with doctors because doctors didn't believe me. But at the same time, it's like I need different medications. I need different services for my disability. And it's like, and trust me, I know, like, I have mentioned since the beginning that I want to dive into the different chemicals and toxins that they put in food. So I think that is kind of funny and ironic that he says that's one thing he wants to do, because I even mentioned how with Canada they have like a different box of macaroni and cheese compared to us, and that even with gummy bears and let's see, and I mean there's a lot of different candies that in other countries they will not feed their people. So, but yes, when it comes to like just Gen Z period, because it's a lot with the Republican Party, but I'm just going to focus on Gen Z right now. And one reason I know that is a lot of the Republican Party is because with my dating standards, a lot of these men can't read. I'll repeat, a lot of these men can't read. And if they can't read, their children have a lower chance of being able to read. Yes, they go to school, but then a lot of parents tell the teachers, they told me, that's not my job, that's your job. And when I am trying to teach these kids how to read, and then I have students who their parents were addicted while they were conceiving these children. So now these some of my students have issues. And so I have students literally getting up out of their seats, throwing chairs and yelling, screaming, kicking me, and so forth. But then I'm still trying to teach them how to read, and then I'm giving them resources. I remember when after four teachers quit the same first grade class. It's like, 'cause I was supposed to be coming in as a computer teacher. Then the first grade teacher, I remember the day before winter break, she whispered in my ear she was not coming back. And I was just like, then who's going to be there then? Yeah, I didn't know that, like, I had a week to like, they didn't I didn't have the week break. They literally just called me in and told me, "This is your class now." But with this group, they were behind, especially because teachers kept changing. They were behind. And I think one reason the principal kept me on is because I was determined. I created educational games for math and English and like different activities, and like even the alien grocery store, which you guys are going to be able to buy, though, like part one of the collection next year. Maybe, well, no, next year. I was like, yeah, I have a lot for my illustrator to work on right now. But when it came to phonics and things, and even like with the eighth graders, majority of my eighth graders were on a third grade reading level. And so I was creating rap battles. And for some of the, if you guys are teachers, if you want to steal this idea, it's like, at least give me credit. It's like, because I mean, I can't watch over all teachers or whatever, so do you. But and some people are going to be like, why would I want to do a rap battle? Okay, listen to the whole idea. Because I taught history within my classes. So one of the times we talked about sit-ins, and another time the apartheid. And like, so I would always, and oh, even like the Crown Act and how the Republicans kept like were being bigots and racist on approving it federally, and now how it's only legal within, I believe, 8 to 12 states and 2 districts in different states or whatever. Yeah, that's an issue. That's a problem. We should be disgusted, but bigots aren't going to be disgusted when they don't want us to have equal rights. But anyway, so I start off with like we would read articles, and or I would mostly read them, but I would give the students at least small paragraphs, and then I would write some of the words on the board and show them how to break it down, and then I would root it and put other words that had similar like like portions of it, and it's like, and then within, like, I would teach them even with the flow of the sentence. And because like I broke it down with phonics, but at the same time with the vowels and the letter structures and things like that, because I didn't get a minor in linguistics, but within my anthropology minor, I did have to take linguistics. And with my learning disability, my professor didn't think I was like trying, but on the final, I think I got like a B or B plus or whatever. And but I love the topic and I studied it more and more. And so even with my teaching the students, the eighth graders, how to read, I even tied it in with linguistics. And so every 2 weeks we did the rap battle, and it had to be on that topic. But I would focus on, like, within, I would try to find an article that had a lot of the same, either SH or PH or something like that. And I would tell my students it has to have a minimum of 10 of words that pertain to, sometimes I would only have one phonetic or two, but one time I had three. And one of the times I said two of the word, like, you have to have two words that rhyme, but they have to be conflicting of the phonics types. And so some people are like, how are they going to know how to do that? That forced them to have to use the dictionary. That forced them to have to use the laptop or computers as a resource. I was trying to train them on how to teach themselves, how to look things up, and how to expand their term knowledge. And I thought I was doing really well. And Ooh, the sit-in rap battle, it got good. It's like part of me, I was like, I wish I had some popcorn because it was like, oh, my students, it was like, it was one of them. It was smooth, and he even like created like a backtrack to it because one of his brothers does some mixing, and he told his brother about what he was doing, and his brother was even like, how come I never got to do that? That's really cool. And I believe I'm trying to remember, but he brought him to the school to introduce me. And he was just like, that is really tight. That's smooth. And I mean, I had other students who thought it was really cool. And some others, like some of the seventh graders, that some of them couldn't stand me, but some of them were a little jealous, but they couldn't stand me and they were really lazy, so they would have never done it. But I think they were just like, oh, you get to write a rap. Oh, you like your assignment is to literally write like music in the class or whatever. Oh, but some were like, oh, that's stupid. You have to write it on history. Well, if you know your history, you don't repeat it. If you know your history, when you vote, you know how to move forward. When you know your history, you know what your ancestors fought for, what they achieved, and what you need to make sure you keep. Because at any moment, especially within the bigotry and the vile dehumanization that we're going through right now, people are threatening to take it away. So, yes, I taught history within the English class, and I tried to make sure I taught the students how to obtain more information individually. And it was really disgusting though because teachers started telling my students, oh, she's trying to turn you white. Oh, you're trying to be a white person. And like one time I had to break it down to my eighth graders. And I was like, in order to be a teacher, you have to have a degree. You have to go to college. That means you have to have education. So, your black teachers that are saying this, are they white? Are they trying to be white? Next time they try to tell you that you're trying to be white or I'm trying to turn you white, no, I'm trying to turn you into a successful like opportunist. I want you to be able to take opportunities in front of you. I want you to be able to have the education needed so that whenever there is an opportunity that you want and desire, you are more likely able to reach for it. That's what I am trying to do. And as a black person, I know it's going to be harder. Those rings are going to be a little higher to reach, and those doorknobs are going to be locked, and you're going to have to find the key. And so I'm not trying to turn you white. I'm trying to make sure you have the arsenal, the educational arsenal, so that when you're ready, you'll be ready. And when I said this, I had some of my students who nodded and everything. Later in the year, they backstabbed me, and yeah, it's like I did my best. I tried my best, but for students to stay cool, learning isn't cool to them. And oh, like yeah, these college students, oh yeah, it's like they would rather like even with the college students, they would try to activate my symptoms of my disability, or they would call me cripple and the R word, and just to the point where I'm like, why are you here? And or one day, if you have a job interview and your boss has a disability, I wonder what you're going to say. I wonder what you're going to call them. I wonder. Because I fought for my position. I deserve, like, when I work, I work. And I have students there's some students who ignored me the entire semester almost. They only listened when I brought up either someone trending or like the Kardashians or whatever. They kind of listened for a second, but then I had students who I still remember. There was a wonderful student I had. She is a post person, and she filled out 4 notebooks and notes. Because when I gave out information, I was giving it. I was like, here's information, here's more information, here's more information. And yes, it's a community college. Some students that thought, oh, I'm just going to go get this silly little degree so I can have a degree so I can get a job. Or my parents are going to already have job lined up for me so I don't have to worry or care. Or this is cheap. I'm working. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot of the, like, sometimes when students, when they would talk to me about going to community college, it was like they were insulted. And I'm just like, you're going to college, you're getting a degree. And so, one thing I was determined with, I wanted to make sure my class was not like a community college class. I tried to make them feel like maybe they were at U of M or state almost. I gave them real life company situations. And in two of the classes, because my last semester, they were so like the front row was amazing. And I had one student in the back, amazing. The rest of them were lazy, so I canceled because I have a lot of business friends, and I was going to invite my two of the times I did have a business friend come in, and they were going to my students were going to create a billboard like for them and even create and act out the commercial that they planned for them. And I had the guests come, but then they sat into the class because they were just pretending like they were late for to the semester. And because I told them about like this class is lazy, I don't think you want to work with this group. And they were like, "Can I sit and see?" And they said like, "Oh my gosh." I gave an early break because I gave them a like, give me a hand signal so I know when you make up your mind. And they did the signal, and they came up like, I gave them a break, and the student was coming up, or well, quote unquote student, but they came up, and we had a conversation, and they were like, yeah, these students are nah. It's like if they even try to create a billboard for me, it would basically be like kindergartners, like all coloring out the lines. I was like, thank you, thank you. But even when I look at book talk now, is like while creating my novel, I have been looking up book talkers, booktubers, and things like that because I want to give personal invites and a copy of the book if any of them are in Michigan. Once I have my book party or my grand opening of the book, I want to invite the Michigan booktubers to the event and stuff so they can meet me in person. And but some of them, they're saying there's too many words on the page. They're saying there's too many words on the page. And if the book isn't about the characters talking, they skip it. They skip it. And or this is too long. This is too this. This is too okay. Why did you get the book then? Is it I mean, and why are you a booktuber? Is it because you have a certain complexion of skin and that you're kind of pretty and that you know people are going to follow you because of those two things? Is that the only reason you're a booktuber? And if you're insulted by this, I'm talking about you. If you're not insulted, then you know I'm not talking about you. But there are certain booktubers who are literally complaining about the books that they chose to read and complaining about how many words are on the page and complaining about the description of the rooms and the settings. When an author writes those, sometimes they are significant, especially if it's maybe urban fantasy or mystery, especially if it's maybe outer space or an alien type of form. Maybe if later foreshadowing something's going to happen, something symbolic, something like with a metaphor or anything like that. And so when you skip those portions, you're skipping the art that the author was giving out to you. But it's your choice. But I just know I have a list of people that I want to email and send and see if I can even interview them on my YouTube channel. And then there's others where I'm just like, nope, never, never, no, never gonna happen, because I question their reading comprehension. I debate their reading level. I wonder how much are they really getting out of the book other than straight just what they said. And I think that's one reason why a lot of people love Colleen Hoover. Okay, I'm going to get hate for this, but I keep hearing everyone say it's a quick, easy read. And I'm hearing that so much. And I guess since in fifth grade, I had to take this twin test. And being in the fifth grade, I took it. And I remember the lady, like when she was giving my mom the results, she was really shocked with my reading and my spelling. Like, yeah, with my disability, like things just like sometimes I'm like, there's a K in there. It's like I don't hear, or like there's a B, but it's like it's silent. So it's like that one was lower, but my reading was 11th grade, and I've gotten better. Like now that I was able to learn the spelling the way I needed it learned, I'm like, yeah, I'm good now. And now that I have like my my different devices to help me, I'm good. But reading, 11th grade and the 5th grade. And I've always loved reading. I love the complicated books. I love digging into them further. And even with my 7th and 8th graders, when I taught, because I did advanced like reading and English with my 8th graders, but then, yeah, this school was so, yeah. But there was one of the years, was this the same year? Because they kept switching what I was supposed to do and teach. But I had regular English class with this group, or with 7th and 8th graders. And I remember there was a guest in the classroom. And I was showing the students, like, see, this person is saying this calmly, but this person has this aggression. And look, they're describing how the person is leaning over them. But look at the weather that's outside. And it's like, and so I was like digging deep. And I just remember the guest at the end of the class came up to me and they were just like, that's how you teach a class. I want to read the book after, like, that is amazing. And my degree is in English. And like Shakespeare is some of the most complicated, but some of the best practice of breaking books down. And I had a really good Shakespeare professor back at Oakland University. Oakland University was a nightmare, but it had some good, like just like toxic, awful relationships, there were some good times. But yeah, my Shakespeare teacher, or my professor, he was really good, and I do appreciate him. And yeah, it's like if you listen to the videos, there was a bully story. Yeah, he was the one that understood. Anyway, anyway, when it comes to Generation Z, because I'm going to have another part where I talk about the dating, and because I created my dating standards based off of a lot of men who hate educated women, a lot of men who want me just to be quiet and be submissive, a lot of men who, when they hear about my degrees and certifications, they try to teach me on how it wasn't important for me to do so. And so I created standards because a lot of men who either had high school level and that's it, they were the worst. So for my safety, my mental safety, and some, well, yeah, I'll just stay on the mental. I had to put that you have to have either a degree, a certification, or a trade. Because most men who don't, and they meet me and we start talking and conversating, and then I start getting nerdy, they call me a square. They say I'm boring, and it's like, if I'm boring to you, fine. But whenever I meet the nerds and the nerds who have a degree, it's like conversation lasts for hours and it's pretty amazing and stuff. And when I don't, it's just really sad with how few men out there that read or even the newspaper. Like most of them just want to watch videos. And that's the thing with my college class. I know when you hear something, you absorb more information, which is a sad reason why a lot of people have absorbed so much fake news now, because when it's in a video format, you soak up more. But then if you give them the article that has true facts, then a lot of, especially with the low reading level, they're not going to. They're not going. It's like the fake news has won. But with my classes, it's like I chose to, like, I looked up some of the best marketing and advertising professionals in each division as possible, and I would put them into a shared Google presentation. And each week I would ask my students to watch, and I told them you don't have to watch all of them, but if everybody watches like different ones and collectively it's all of them, you will be shocked at how much you learned. And that's one reason why the one semester my postal worker, she filled up 4 notebooks. And it's like, and she would even say she could not believe how much she was absorbing and how much great information she was learning and getting from it. And I had the textbook, and I told students if the textbook is more your your jive, then do you. But especially since marketing and advertising keeps changing, and since the real life situations keep sometimes repeating, I try to teach on the things that are repeating so that when their generation is out in the field, that maybe they can help it not continue. Oh, but a lot of them were lazy. A lot of them were lazy. I had great and amazing students, but I had a lot who were just, I'm only here so I can get the degree so that I can brag to my family members or brag to my ex or like get this one job. But with the job, you don't really need to do anything. I just needed the degree so I can say I have a degree. And but they don't want to learn. But yeah, some of them don't want to learn anything, but they want the degree. And some of them, like, and it's funny, like a lot of the men did not like me. It's like they didn't like that I was the professor. And yeah, that'll be another video too, because I had male students who didn't want to listen to me, didn't want to study, did not care. And then they would lie about me, talk about me, be absolutely insulting, or they would ask like, how did you get this job? And it's like, maybe, I don't know if it was because of my race or because of my gender or because I have a disability, but yeah, a lot of the male students didn't like that I was in the front of the classroom. And when I teach and when I talked about certain things, sometimes, oh, I don't believe you. And then they get on their cell phone and then they find out I'm right. And then it's like they kind of be quiet for 15 minutes. And then when I'm still talking, then they would try to shut me up again. And oh, yeah. But anyway, this is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human. And and you're human too, of course, duh. But just know I am going to be working on more projects so I can make sure to do my part with this literacy crisis, because a lot of studies and articles are coming out about politics and education. That is not that surprising. It's all making sense once you look at all of the information.